Ready in 5, 4, 3, 2. Yeah. Hey, yeah. Where my mom's at? Where my mom's wearing thongs, hitting bongs at? Raising kids, cleaning shits, need a long nap. Where my mom's at?
Where My Mom's At podcast with Christina P.
Thank you so much for being here, watching us on YouTube, downloading. With me is a fan favorite, Miss LeeAnn Kreischer.
I'm back!
Wife of the Party
Wife
podcast.
of the Party, yes.
Welcome. I love seeing you. You're such a breath of fresh air. And I also wanted to thank you personally for when this accident happened with Tom, that you and Bert were like first responders at my home. And I cannot thank you enough for taking the reins that night, because I was a mess.
As would anybody be. It was a pretty big deal. And we were, of course, happy and did not hesitate to help, of course. We love you guys.
Well, you're so good under pressure. You snapped right into action. And and it was a big step for me to ask for help. I never do. I never have. And this was great. Yeah. And it was a very positive thing to do.
It was a win all the way around. We were so, there's a helpless feeling when a friend is in need and you can't do anything.
Ugh,
I'd much rather be there washing dishes or, so I feel like I'm doing something. I'd much rather do that than just sit at home and worry.
I know, right? And you don't realize the importance of just making yourself available to someone as a service, just being there in the space was really comforting. So thank you.
You are welcome.
So I was on Two Bears with your husband, and
how'd that go?
It was a really great show.
I'm sure it was. We joke at our house that Tom is me and you are Bert.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you talked about. I have no idea. But it's like having two Berts, right? Was that what? Am I right? Is that the way it was?
Exactly. Right.
Exactly. I knew it. Because Tom and I was like, when I did it with Tom, I was like, how's this gonna work? We're same.
Calm, collected, serene. Bert and I were like, I drink alone. So do I. It's great.
Well,
How do people not feed themselves all day long? I just need a reward. I have anxiety. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Tom and I are the dead inside ones. Just dead inside. Just what? What do you need?
That's what Bert said, and I was like, dead inside? And I started laughing because I'm like, I'm not sure I would characterize either of them as dead inside.
He says I'm dead inside all the time because I'm blunt. I'm just very blunt. I'm just like, no, that shirt doesn't look good. What do you want me to say? The shirt looks good adjacent? I mean, I don't know. It either does or does not. So how do I just fucking mince words with that? You can't.
You are so funny because I was talking. So Tom and I talked about the differences in our marriages, like just on the surface, because you never know what really goes on between.
Yeah.
But just how you and Bert interact is so different than how Tom and I do. Like, blunt is the best word. What you just said. You're like, how can I not just say that he's a fucking asshole when he's a fucking asshole?
Yeah, totally. Why wouldn't you do that? Isn't that who you should be able to be completely honest with? Your spouse?
And I labor under a different principle, actually, which is honesty is not always the best policy. And in my case, shutting the fuck up does me a lot more service. But that's just because of my dynamic with my husband. So
no, that's good advice.
I don't know.
No, I should take that advice a little bit. That would help me a lot, actually. But, part of me feels, oh, Bert's going to hate this.
That's okay.
Sorry,
he's coming in next, so we'll fill him in. Go ahead.
He's going to hate this, but I feel like everybody gives him all that he wants all the time. So I feel like I should be reality, right? And the reality is you don't look good in that shirt. I'm sorry. You don't. Maybe that's too harsh. I don't know. Well, and also, I grew up mostly with my dad and his guy friends and my uncles.
Yeah.
And they just don't coddle each other.
They didn't mince words or
there's
mince
no coddling.
sentiment. Yeah.
It was too inefficient.
Well, what's interesting with Bert and you and is that I think any other person, Bert would not respond well to that. But with you, it is like peanut butter and jelly.
It is. I don't know why.
Fucking works.
It does. It's tough love.
Yeah. And and it doesn't break him. And I think because he's not, he like myself, we're not great at confrontation. It's not my
No,
favorite thing.
he's not.
I avoid it. I'd rather just shut the fuck up and figure, I'm horrible with it. But so for you to be able to confront him a lot, it seems, and for him to not crumble is really a testament, I think, to your intimacy and your bond.
I think it is somewhat, yes. I think the other side of that coin is, you are right, he is not confrontational with everybody except me. He has no problem saying to me, that hurt my feelings, that wasn't cool, if it's something that really did. You know, like, you don't look good in that shirt, doesn't really hurt his feelings for whatever reason. But if I did something, right, he is super sensitive.
Yes.
So sometimes... And I am not sensitive. I mean, it takes a bulldozer to hurt my feelings. I don't have that piece. I'm dead inside.
You're not dead inside. You're not. I would argue that you're more alive and connected in many ways than Bert and I, because we're so afraid of our feelings. I think Bert and I are more like the Chicken Little thing.
That is very accurate for Bert. He is very afraid of his feelings sometimes.
But you're not. Yeah, you don't get your feelings hurt. That's interesting.
I don't get my feelings hurt because I don't take anything personally. I know who I am. I know my intentions. My intentions are never bad. I never walk into any situation going, I'm fucking this up. You ready? You look like shit in that shirt. That's not what my intention is. My intention is for you not to leave the house looking like shit. Right? So then my intention is positive.
Yeah.
So then I know that about myself, and maybe I could make adjustments where I could be a little softer, a little kinder in my words. But so I don't really, I don't know, when someone says something, I just think, well, that's your problem.
That's them. Yeah, because you do learn, as I've learned, is that most people, 99% of the time, are not thinking of you.
No.
And I don't mean that it's just a factual thing of like, most of the time, people aren't out to deliberately attack or hurt you.
No.
99% of the time, everyone's in their own head, living out their own drama.
Totally.
So you're lucky if you can cross paths with somebody where you guys see each other. It's rare that you meet someone. I think you're very good at this, to get out of your head and really witness another person. You're a very good listener. You are very attuned.
Well, thank you.
It's a good skill, and I think that's probably why you and Bert work together. So my question to you is, so then what does Bert get hurt about? If it's not the shirt, you look like shit.
Right.
What is it? Do you know, are there certain things like I shouldn't, that's what being married is too, is knowing like, oh, that's rough.
Well, the thing about it is being married is a journey in learning, right? It's not a journey of knowing, it's a journey of learning. So I'm still learning. I'm not perfect. Some of the things we argue about lately has to do with parenting, because he's been not home for 16 years. And now suddenly in this coronavirus, he's home. And so I often parent a lot without consulting him, because that's how I've parented for 16 years. So it's not like I'm just not used to including him in things, and that hurts his feelings. And I'm having to think differently about day-to-day parenting things, saying things like, it doesn't occur to me for them, Bert gets up in the morning, goes to the man cave, works out. The girls are going to school at our other house now, so they're actually physically leaving to give them some, quote, normalcy. And I had to consciously think, go say goodbye to your dad. Because dad's never home. Dad's never home when they go to school. And they've been going to school at home, so there's no need to do that. And so that will hurt his feelings. Well, he'll come in and go, they didn't say goodbye to me? You didn't remind them to say goodbye to me? And I'm like, it's so not in my wheelhouse, because, dad's not the lawyer that comes home every day. So little things like that hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to hurt his feelings.
Or
like
dad
that.
can remember, guess what, the kids leave for school at 7:45.
Then you're asking him to take care of his own needs and feelings. Isn't that interesting in my perspective also?
Right, because we, I don't know if it's a dad thing, but we have similar things in our house too.
Oh, yeah?
Of like, there are certain, it's the kids that have the schedule, and so we must work around. Yeah. They rule the roost at this age, and this is it. Yeah, a lot of reminding of like, they start, they set the tone here.
They do, and they do as teenagers. It doesn't stop. It doesn't
okay.
stop.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, it's
So lately,
it's
that's
tough,
the stuff
yeah.
that hurts his feelings.
Sure.
I can't think of anything before this pandemic. That's another thing that he doesn't enjoy about me is we have an argument and I move on, right? And I go, okay, duly noted. I will try to adjust that. But I can't remember what the argument was about a week later. He will remember that argument on his deathbed. I swear to God. He's a Scorpio. And he's like, 7 years ago, when you took that candy bar. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I have no vengeance in me at all. So I don't remember anything that we've ever fought about if it's not pretty recent, because I just go, well, I know my intention and I know his intention.
Yep.
We want each other to be happy.
Yeah.
So this was a momentary hiccup where for him it was like stab, stab, stab. And I'm like, really? I don't get any kind of pass on that, or
Oh my gosh, it's like listening to Tom talk. Because same thing, I don't get any kind of pass. Because like when I fight with Tom, it's as if we've never been together for 15 years, and he has no goodwill built up. And
same.
yeah,
Maybe that's a man thing.
I don't know. No, I'm saying I'm the Bert, where I am like, like I get so fired up, like this is the worst thing ever. And I can remember certain fights. Yeah.
I don't remember. I only remember fights where he says ridiculous stuff. Like there's this one fight we got into when he was in his PTSD phase of Travel Channel, where he all of a sudden started backing himself against the wall and going, I've married the wrong person. I've married the wrong person. I can't believe I've spent this much time married to the wrong person. And you know what we were fighting about?
What?
I baited a hook for the girls to go fishing, and that was emasculating. And I kept going, what? You were at the house. I was at the dock. Should I have said, honey, can you come bait a hook because I'm so dainty? Are you kidding me? And I married the wrong person. You have no idea who I am and what I need. And I was like, okay, you need to get some help.
That is so funny because I've had the same panic inside, but I don't verbalize
Oh, he can't. He had verbal diarrhea. It is diarrhea.
Because if I were to say that to Tom, he would be like, what do you mean? Like he would freak out too because Tom drinks my Kool-Aid.
Oh, no, I don't drink any of that fucking shit, man. I go, I see what's happening here, and you are losing your mind, and you are catastrophe thinking, and I'm going to sit back on the bench and let this roller coaster go to hell, and I will be here when it's back from hell, and then we can have a conversation. That's what I feel like.
See, this is what I'm talking about. I feel like nobody has these frank conversations about marriage and about what
They don't.
it really means to be a parent, to be a wife. And, you know, there's this mythology, I think, especially with women, that we can do it all and we're great at it all. And it's like, it's so much responsibility for us. It's not even fucking possible to do everything all the time. And like, yeah, sorry, I'm just laughing at the two of you.
At the roller coaster to hell. And I'm sitting on the bench going, okay, well, let me just, I'm going to look at my fingernails until you get off this fucking roller coaster.
But see, nobody tells you that that's really the nature of marriage and the nature of parenting. It is just a roller coaster all the time.
It is. And the key is, to me, at least the way I've rode this roller coaster of marriage, is to want the best for the other person.
Yeah.
Not at the total disregard of yourself,
Yeah.
but in a moment where the other person is the one upset, to try and say, what can I understand about why they're upset?
That's huge.
Now, Bert wants me to take responsibility for things that I haven't done sometimes, and I will not do that. But at the same time, I try to find what his issue is and help with that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And sometimes it is totally my fault. And I'll say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That was really wrong of me. Now he'll say that I never do that, but I do. But oftentimes the catastrophe thinker that I'm living with has taken a molehill and made a huge mountain and made me accountable for things that didn't even happen.
Yeah.
And I can't go into agreement with that.
No, because then you're feeding into his delusional thinking.
Exactly. And his catastrophe thinking, which I think is part of his anxiety, is the anxiety goes straight to, she's leaving me.
Yeah, that's what
She
I have fear
hates
of
me.
abandonment. Yeah.
He
Same.
thinks I'm leaving every 5 seconds. And I'm
Same.
like, dude, don't you think? I mean, I've been here 18 years.
That's what Tom. That's so funny. I swear we are married to. I think this is crazy. Yeah, it's like you're parroting back conversations Tom and I have. This is so wild. Oh my god.
So
Okay.
if that's the case, then we can't be the only two couples who have these conversations.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, we can't be.
I
You know how many
know.
emails I get that say, I am Bert and my husband is you?
Yeah.
So many. It's got to be that way. We're kind of the standard blueprint. It's kind of scary.
Well, yeah, because there's a fear of abandonment, and then it's like what you learn being in therapy for so many years is like you're just wired a certain way because of childhood events, right? Mm-hmm. And then now you get married to somebody, and now you're going through those blueprints again. You're wiring, and you guys will go through events or things that'll bump up against some
They trigger.
triggering shit from your childhood, from the past. So now you're reacting from a place back here to someone that's here, and
Yeah.
it doesn't even make sense anymore.
Yeah.
But so many people, like you have really a lot. It sounds like a lot of clarity on what's happening. Like when Bert's acting out, like, oh, this isn't about me. This is about him. Let me see if I can be a really helpful partner and figure out what's going on so that we can help Bert.
Yes.
Versus like I'm going to react to his reacting, which is what most couples do, right?
I do that sometimes too.
Everybody falls into that shit.
Yeah, I do that sometimes too.
I remember one time the fan wasn't working on the stove, and Tom got so mad at the fucking fan. Goddamn fucking fan work. And I was like, okay, I can either fall into this trap and join him in the fucking fan thing,
Yeah.
or we can figure out what's really going on today.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I try to do.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. I don't always do it. Sometimes I'm like, oh, you want to go to 11? I'll meet you at 15. Because I'm sick of being the patient one.
Yeah.
Helping you figure out your shit. Today,
Yeah.
we're blowing it up.
Yeah.
Because I'm done. I do have those days too.
Of course.
But, my therapist told me she feels like in our arguments, Bert needs to be validated and I need to be heard. So if he can understand I need to be heard, and if I can understand he needs to be validated, our arguments will be cleaner, faster, more efficient, because then I can go, where can I validate his feelings? And he can go, how can I make her feel like I really heard her? And then if I get what I need, even if I'm wrong, if I still feel heard, I'm much faster to say, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But if I can't get heard, because remember, I grew up with a mother who didn't let me talk. So then I can't, that's my trigger is I need to feel like someone hears what I'm saying. And they can even say, I hear you, but I don't agree with you. Okay, that's fine. As long as I know that you hear me. But he does not want to hear me. When he is upset, he just has to be validated before he can hear anything. So this is our little cycle we go in is like, I will not validate you until you've heard me. Well, I will not hear you until you've validated me. So we get this push and pull about who gets what they need first. So when my therapist explained that to me, I was like, okay, so then I'm just going to try to validate the pieces I can to bring the level down so that he can hear me. And then I get what I need.
Do you realize what you just broke down
No.
is so
my
varsity level?
relationship.
Yeah, but that people listening to this are probably like, what? How does she know all that?
Therapy. My therapist told me that.
Yeah. I mean, that's to have that much insight into your relationship and how it's going and why this and that happens is really helpful and really good. And I think
thanks.
but don't you think people's misery and suffering comes from like not having this insight, and
Yes.
then they go, you know what, I need a divorce. Fuck
Yes.
this guy, and I'm gonna find another one. And then guess what? The other one is exactly the same, or I'm gonna have an affair. That'll make everything great. And then they blow up their lives. It's like the people act out when they can't
Totally.
figure this out.
Totally. And I think
Oof.
what happens is if you don't have tools, you start feeling really lost and helpless. And then you go, fuck it, I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, how do I figure this out? Because it can be figured out. If your value system lines up with your partner, then you can figure any of these semantics out.
Yeah.
If you have a different value system, then you have a bigger problem. But
That's true.
yeah, if your value systems line up, then you can figure almost anything out. You may need help, pastor, counselor, really trusted friend that you can, share stuff with that's constructive and not destructive.
I worry about the friend because
It has to be a specific kind of friend. It has to be a constructive friend, not destructive.
Go to the ones who have a life you want to have.
Exactly right. They have a good relationship.
Go to that
Genuinely,
person.
that's right.
Don't go to the friend that has bad boyfriend after bad boyfriend and no. Fuck that bitch. Go to the one that's winning.
The revolving door of relationships.
No.
Not good.
She's fun for a drink and the stories that come from that, but not like the marital. Yeah.
No, not the success plan.
Right, yeah.
She doesn't have a success plan.
No,
that
dude.
friend. So I don't know. My intention when I got married was to stay married. Right?
Same, yeah.
I found someone who's had the same value system, who was fun, who was funny, who I could play out my childhood stuff with, and he played out his with mine, and all the pathways you were talking about and the triggers. And, I love Bert. Drew, when I was on After Dark with him the other day, he was like, Bert loves you so much. And I guess you like Bert? And I was like, well, of course I like Bert. Why would I love Bert. So I don't want anybody to think I don't love him.
And
I do.
You like Bert.
I don't really get it, was kind of what I got from that. He didn't say that, but I was like, oh, that's a bummer. I don't want anybody to think she doesn't love him. I do. I don't do anything as intensely as Bert does.
I guess from the outside, then people go, well, Bert is so lovable. If you know him, he's really sweet.
He's a sweetheart.
He's the best.
He is a sweetheart, and he is he's just a really good human being.
He is.
That happens to fart and cut his toenails and tape it to furniture
He's
and,
so
do bizarre
gross.
things.
He's really disgusting, though, LeeAnn. I mean, that hygiene stuff is pretty grody, but you're used to it. I mean, he doesn't smell, though. I've never, or does he?
No. He showers, and he does water pick his mouth multiple times a day. I didn't say he brushed his teeth, but he does floss and water pick.
He doesn't brush his teeth.
Not really.
Okay.
But he does floss and water pick, which he believes is better. Maybe it is. I don't know. He doesn't have bad breath.
No, I've never smelled Bert.
No, he doesn't have bad breath. He doesn't smell unless he's just worked out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And obviously you find him physically attractive.
I do. I love bears.
You're into your bear.
Yeah.
Oh, and sidebar, I tried your BJ technique.
Tell me.
And I know it changed our lives. He
Game
loved
changer.
It. Yes. Yeah, but there was a weird feeling afterwards because I was like, wait a minute, this is the same BJ that like your best friend gets. Are you guys BJ brothers now? Like, this is incestuous and weird. You know what I'm saying?
Well, now they can share that. They can share that with each other. The BJ brothers.
The Beach brothers. And Tom after he got hurt, he's like, man, I'm so upset I got that beach technique right before this accident
Oh my
happened.
God.
He's like, we were just on a new streak of stuff and then this happened. So hopefully I can
Well,
get
that
him
part's
to
not broken.
I know, but I think he's still like not interested.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, he'll come back around.
Oh, he will sooner than you think.
I know. God damn it. But yeah, so thank you for that. And for anyone listening, LeeAnn's famous BJ technique was on, I don't know which episode number it is, but it's not very far back here. And she was so kind enough to review the book. What is it? How to Have Sex Like a Gay Man?
Sex tips for a straight woman from a gay man, I think it's called.
And LeeAnn will run.
It's not my tip. It's his tip that I read in a book.
Right. And she thoughtfully came in with like highlighted notes and dog-eared pages and gave us the best of that book, so you don't have to read it because I know you're a mom, you don't have time for that shit, but really helpful and really great, so thank you for that. Yeah, game change. So I wanted to go into this next topic, and I was so thrilled before we started rolling. I get lots of emails from moms who are like, I have 2 children, I live in a small town, I have dreams of doing X, Y, and Z, but I can't. But thanks to the internet, I can start a podcast or I can start a YouTube channel. I can do these things. And then there's also a lot of emails of like, hey, I'm a certain age, I have this many kids, I have this. How do I start the career? How do I follow my dreams of what I want? And would you mind telling people what you did? Are you okay with that? I mean, I think it's so inspiring, and I think people need to hear that, dude, you can do it whenever.
Well, I believe that God talks to you all the time. You just have to pay attention. So in 1 week, 2 people recommended the same writing class to me in the same week. You should take this writing class at UCLA Extension. It's called Nonfiction Narrative. I think you'd be great. You have so many stories. And for years, I've thought about writing a memoir, but that is too overwhelming. Like, I'm like, how do you even start? And my life was so schizophrenic. Like, I was half in this small town, half in Atlanta, half in this community, half over here, bouncing around so much that I could never figure out how to make a cohesive, like, story, like a memoir that you read. So when these 2 women recommended this class in the same week, I thought to myself, I should pay attention to that, and I should take that class. So I did. So I enrolled in the class, and, you know, I never graduated from college. I went to 4 years of college and never graduated. And I wrote screenplays for years before I met Bert, but I never took any classes to do that. So I think part of my psyche was like, who do you think you are to do this? Who do you think you are to think that you can write a memoir? What's so special about your stories? All that negative talk that happens. And when the 2 people said in that 1 week, take this class, and I listened, the teacher had a very profound effect on me. So I started writing. The class was to write a 750-word essay a week about a true story from your life, a narrative nonfiction from your life. So I did, and every week I had to read the stories aloud to the class, and the teacher would give me notes and advice. But the teacher was just so supportive, and every week kept saying, these are incredible stories. Like, these are incredible stories. And about halfway through the class, he said, I think you need to read this book. It's a memoir written in essay form. I think you should think about doing that. And I the whole time kept going, are you talking to me?
Little me?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Are you sure you're talking to me?
Yeah.
And by the end of the 10-week class, I felt like I could actually write this book. Like, I felt like I had enough stories. I had written enough stories in the course of this 10-week course that by the end of it, I had about 7 stories that I got such positive feedback from. I felt very inspired. And so I've continued writing once a week, as if I'm in the class, because I would like write on Fridays, rewrite on Sundays, and then turn my homework in, and my class was on Wednesday. So I'm doing everything except the class. And I'm just going to do it. But I really had been talking about this for years, like exhaustively, saying to people, I think I should write a memoir. I have all these crazy stories about growing up. And I just wouldn't do it. And I think part of it was I didn't really believe in myself. And part of it was I didn't have time. But when you sign up for a class, you go to class, or I do. I do my homework and I go to class. And I think that's the kick in the pants I needed, and the validation that a real live college professor said to me, you are an amazing storyteller. And this is a very specific gift. And you know what you're doing. I mean, he kept saying, you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. And then he would read my thing and he would go, so this week is about dialogue. I want you to read LeeAnn's piece one more time. And I'd be like, oh my God, he did that. He did that several times. And I kept going, really? You keep referring to my piece? Really? That's crazy. So yeah, it was an amazing experience. And really, I sat down with everybody in my family, who of course are very supportive, and my kids are teenagers. And I said, this is something I'd really like to try. Now, what this means is Wednesday nights, you're on your own. You're figuring out dinner, and I'm not around. If you have homework you need help with, Isla, you're going to have to ask your dad. If the dogs, you're going to feed the dogs, you're doing mom's off duty Wednesday nights. And they were so supportive. My last day of class, they walked out to the man cave clapping, brought me a glass of champagne. And that support was really important too. I think a lot of moms are probably afraid to say, I want to do this and I need your support as a family. We spend our whole lives supporting our kids and our spouses. And to ask for that in return, for me anyway, was a little hard. Even though I have 2 kids that can they cook dinner for us all the time. They don't need me anymore in that way. But it was not easy. It was a huge consideration before I even enrolled in the class, was how would this affect the other 3 people that live in my house for me to ask for 3 hours a week.
Wow. First of all, congratulations, because yes, as someone that's known you for a million years, you have been talking about getting back into writing since Isla and Georgia were babies. I remember LeeAnn was a writer before she had children. So I remember when you had your babies, you were like, it was very frustrating because, as we all know, when you have small children, there is no sitting at a computer for 3 hours. There is no such thing.
No.
If you have to physically remove yourself from your home to do anything and have help. You can't fucking...
Especially when our kids were that age, we were so broke, we had no nannies, and I worked a job.
Yeah.
I worked like a regular job and had a nanny only for the time I was at the job.
Yeah, so you're exhausted.
So I couldn't
There's
do it.
no way. It's easy to get caught up in the holiday craze and feel overwhelmed and stressed. And even though finding the time to talk to a doctor right now feels impossible, we have to put our mental health first. Thanks to Plush Care, you can talk to a doctor right away, whether you're home or on the go. I'm a huge fan of therapy. I talk about it constantly on this show, as every other show, because there's nothing more important than your mental health. And Plush Care knows that too. Their primary care physicians are here for you 7 days a week to help you start feeling better as soon as possible. In addition to being primary care physicians who handle ongoing and urgent care, they also treat a wide range of common mental issues like the big ones: anxiety, depression, stress, or even trouble sleeping. So if you're feeling down, worried, or not like yourself, you can book a same-day appointment and see a Plush Care doctor right from the comfort of your own home. Using your phone or computer. How easy is that? Plush Care makes it easier than ever to take care of yourself inside and out. Start your membership today. Go to plushcare.com/WMMA to start your free 30-day trial. That's plushcare.com/WMMA for a free 30-day trial. Plushcare.com/WMMA. But I really wanted you to get back into it because I know that there's that creative part of you. You are so creative, and to have this outlet again must feel really, really great. And you're right. I think you're right. When you start on a creative mission, like when I first became a comedian, first of all, who becomes a comedian? Are you out of your mind? And who's going to support that? My parents were like, you're out of your mind. Everyone's going to tell you you're out of your mind. And just be ready for that, people listening. When you say, I want to start an Etsy shop, doing my ceramic ornaments or whatever it is. I want to be a podcaster. I want to be a comedian. I want to be a singer. I want to be whatever, writer. Don't expect everybody to be on board with your vision just yet. You're lucky that your family's supportive, but a lot of times people are going to think you're a dreamer. They can be haters. They can be jealous. They can be resentful. And believing in yourself is so hard. And I think you're right that there's this great book. Did you ever read The War of Art by Stephen?
One of the best
books
ever written.
If you're thinking of doing anything, it's about writing.
It doesn't have to be art.
It could be anything.
It can be anything. You want to go back to school to be a nurse? You should read this book.
100%. It's very small too. The War of Art, Stephen Pressfield. And he talks about the grind.
Yes.
And it's about the process. But getting yourself to admit, I think I want to write that memoir. Who the fuck am I? Who am I? Well, guess what? Ernest Hemingway at one point was just some guy.
Yeah, right.
They were just fucking scumbags, drinking, alcoholics, banging women.
I'm not doing any of that.
No, you're not even doing that. Like, all these people are not better than you.
No, exactly. And you know what's interesting what you said about people that are going to be haters?
Oh, yeah.
In the second week of this writing class, the teacher gave us a handout about that.
Really?
Yes. He said, if I were you, I wouldn't talk to anybody about what you're doing in this class.
Right.
If I were you, don't let anybody read anything.
100%.
Because they will pull you off your game every time. You have to know exactly who can... I didn't read anything to Bert until I was so confident in my class that I thought, I'm not going to care what he says about it, because the teacher has told me week after week after week, you are an amazing storyteller. And I live with a self-proclaimed best storyteller on the planet.
Right. So the pressure it's a lot.
I was like, I'm not ever reading these to him because he's going to be like, well, if I were telling this story. But he didn't do that.
It's amazing.
He didn't do it at all. But I took advice from the teacher who said, don't tell anybody.
Don't guard it. You know why? Because in the beginning process of creation, you have a baby. It's an infant,
Yeah,
right? And there's
yeah.
a rewriting. Even when you're starting something new, it's an idea. Let it marinate secretly, quietly to yourself until it's ready to be born.
That's right.
And then you debut it. Because what happens is people will kill your baby.
Totally.
They might do it inadvertently. They might say something to you that'll, oh gosh, you're right. And then now you're going in a different direction.
Yeah.
They don't mean to. Sometimes people say things inadvertently.
Of course.
That's why people send me their stand-up. Will you watch my stand-up and tell me notes? No, I won't. Because what if I say something to you? Hey, I don't like how you say that word. You have a weird inflection. But then that inflection could be the very thing that makes you hugely successful. And I told you to stop it.
Right. Exactly.
Never. But also having a mentor, having somebody who you believe in and who believes in you
Right.
is tremendous.
Yes, it is. Yes.
That validation from that teacher is everything, right? Because you go,
Yeah.
well, this guy's an expert. He's seen it all and he thinks I'm great. Then that's surely, and it gives you that little thing, that
That's
little
right.
boost.
Yes, that was really important. So anybody
Oh.
who's trying to function in a closet, there's nothing wrong with taking a class. There was one point
Yes.
when somebody said to me, I don't need a class to know how to do so-and-so. And I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, you do.
well, that's you.
Yeah.
But I did. I don't have a college. I never took a creative writing class in my life. And I, for whatever reason, needed somebody who knew what they were doing to say, you know what you're
course.
doing. Just keep doing that. And then I go, well, I don't need another class. I'll just keep doing that because he told me that so many times that I'll just keep doing that. Okay. So don't listen to someone who says you don't need a class to learn how to macrame. Maybe
Go
you
take the
do.
fucking class. Well, because
cares?
I love classes because they provide structure, like you said. Now you're on a schedule.
Yes, exactly.
You have to do the thing that you said you were going to do.
Right.
You're held accountable.
Yep.
You meet other people that have the same interests as you.
Yep.
And now you've got a system of folks that you can, it's just wonderfully productive. So if you can take a Zoom class or whatever,
Totally.
why wouldn't you?
Totally.
Do it. Get
Do
that
it.
support and the structure. And then it's the doing of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's the actual just kicking yourself in the ass and discipline
Yeah.
of doing something. But I'm so glad that you're back at it, man. I mean, I bet it feels really good.
I'm really glad too, and it does feel really good. And I am really proud of myself. And I said to Bert, this sounds really arrogant, and I don't mean it that way, but I am impressed with myself.
You should be.
And you know, it's not often in life when we get to do things that we're quietly impressed with.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need to walk around going, I am so impressive. Let me tell you about my impressiveness. Wow. That's for Bert. He can do that all day long. But I'm not like that. So for me to go, wow, I'm really impressed with myself is really healthy, I think. It's healthy for positive self-esteem and growth.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I haven't read these stories to anybody but Bert. I haven't talked to anybody except you now about, and everybody listening,
all these other people
about
on the
how I
internet.
feel
Yeah.
about that. But I'd said to Bert, I'm impressed with myself. And I think being impressed with yourself from time to time, not from an egotistical place, but from a place of real achievement is very important.
It is. And don't you find that it feeds back into how you parent and how
Yes.
you're revitalized as a
Yes.
mother, and you can go back into your momming life with excitement and something to share. And also what great modeling for your two girls.
Right.
Because I think it's so easy, it is for me, especially now that I'm not on the road doing stand-up, where my little children need me so much right now. And I'm so thrilled that I can be there for them.
Mm-hmm.
But they do suck the life force out of you. Like Tom the other day was like, you sleep a lot. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm up at 6 a.m. with these two little people who are just like,
Yeah.
they need so much of my attention.
Yeah.
But at the other hand, like, it's also okay to be like, listen, mom needs to dip out. I
Right.
got to do something for my soul here. Otherwise I'm gonna disappear.
Totally.
I'm gonna
That's absolutely
fucking
right.
disappear.
They need you. That, you know what? They'll take what they can get.
Yeah. They'll take it from dad. Let dad step in.
That's right. And they'll take all you'll give. So if you're going to give them 180, they'll take
Oh,
180.
Shit. Yeah.
You know, if you give them 100 and keep 80 for yourself, they're usually happy with the 100.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We think we should give them 180.
That's the thing. Yeah.
That's the thing, is that we pressure ourselves. Every spare minute I have should be given to the children.
Yes.
But should it?
should it?
I mean, that's the way I functioned also. And I wore myself out, to be honest with you. And I didn't allow myself. It took me 16 years to get back to writing. Come on. That's a bummer. I could have easily taken this writing class 6-7 years ago, as far as what I perceived they needed from me as opposed to what they actually needed.
Right.
Does that make sense?
No, it does, because I find myself in the same way of thinking. I get very perfectionistic with how I do things. And I'm like, well, because my parents weren't really available to me emotionally or physically. So I have a preoccupation with like, am I there enough? Am I present enough? Like, I'll even find myself with my 2-year-old, who is adorable. Both my kids are just adorable.
They are really cute.
But Juju is at this like cherubic 2-year-old. God damn it. Like, I just want to eat him. He's so fucking cute.
Yeah.
And I find myself feeling guilty when I don't like every moment with Juju. When he's screaming and tantruming, or I'm bored. We're at the park and I'm fucking bored because I don't want to push him for the 50th time. And I find myself chastising myself, like, you should enjoy every moment because they're going to grow up. And then it's like, yeah, but you don't. You just don't enjoy every moment.
You don't. It's called not humanly possible. It's not humanly possible to enjoy every moment. So give yourself a break.
Yeah.
And don't.
No, and you can't. And that's why it's great. Like 3 hours on a Wednesday is not going to scar your children.
No.
You know, it's really not. You're not doing irreparable damage. And again, that's dad time that they can be having.
Totally.
Which teenage girls still need their father, you know?
Oh, they had a blast. They cook dinner, they watch a movie. And, you know, I'm like, that's important too, that I'm not in the picture, because I'm always in the picture. And I constantly push them. When we went out of town recently, I kept going off by myself and reading magazines on purpose, not just because I wanted to do that, but because then the three of them played pool, played on the putting green of this house that we rented, and then the three of them get to have a relationship that has nothing to do with me. So if I'm always there, they don't get the opportunity to develop that.
Yeah.
So if you think about it the right way, and I've thought about it I've been conscious of this my whole life because Bert travels so much. So I always would purposefully say, and now mommy's going over here, so daddy can have the relationship with them that's just pure and clean and just theirs. It has
Just
nothing to do
theirs.
with me.
Yeah. Which is so important too for girls, to have a relationship with their dad, especially if you're lucky enough to have a positive relationship with your dad. I know a lot of people don't, especially girls. God, what was I going to say? I had such a thought that was making me crazy. Oh, you know, I always think about, especially my older boy just turned 5, Ellis, and he's going through this thing where he's asking me to do stuff for him, but I know he's damn well capable of doing it himself. Like, mommy, can I have a glass of water? I'm like, you know where the water is. You know how to do this. You can do this now. And I don't know why, but I'm thinking of, there's this Swami online, this guru, who I love, Swami Sachidananda. I know, he's like this coolest Indian guy. And he has this thing of, he goes, you know, like when a kid goes to the mother's apron and goes, mommy, 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 he goes, the best thing the mommy can do is hit the kid. And say, don't hold on to mommy. Go do it yourself. And I thought, oh my gosh, you know, I get that. Look, that's a different culture.
Yeah, totally.
They're a little harsher than we are. But the idea of, no, don't tug on mommy all the time. Mm-hmm. You must go off into the world. I'm training you to be self-sufficient at some point. So mommy's absence is sometimes just as beneficial as mommy's presence.
Yes,
they
that's
have
right.
to learn to be resilient and be
That's right.
self-sufficient. I mean, look at us, a generation of latchkey kids.
Totally.
And we're so fucking resilient.
Yep,
It's
and
a good
scrappy
generation.
and get it done.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what we are. We're scrappy, get it doners.
Gen X.
Yep.
So this brings me to my next topic, since you're a varsity mom
Varsity.
and you have 2 teenagers. Oh, wait, did I have a... Oh, yeah. Okay, so, I mean, I'm going to ask you because I have some friends that have children around the same age, but because of COVID, I don't really get to socialize with them and their children as much. So I don't really get to see how other kids act.
Yeah.
And I guess I ask myself a lot, like, is my kid normal? Is this behavior normal? Like, what the fuck? I want to show you this couch. Yeah.
Okay. Is this an art installation at your house? What happened to this couch?
So
Is that bleach and blood?
it's not blood. No, it's not blood.
Okay.
It's just paint. It's paint.
It's paint. Okay.
And I thought I did buy the kind of paint that washes off of things, but
It doesn't really ever.
no shit.
No, not really ever. No.
That's the lie. They
Looks like velvet. Probably not ever on velvet anyway.
So my 2-year-old, I think it was my 2-year-old, threw the paint on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
Is this normal?
Did you beat him after?
No.
The Swami Wama Wama Wah say, hit the child when he does this to your couch.
Hit the child. I don't fucking know.
I do think this is totally normal for a 2-year-old.
Two.
For sure. Even for a 4-year-old.
Anything older and you beat
The
shit
thing
out of them.
is, I used to color on the walls.
Same, yeah.
And then my parents would say, stop doing that. And I'd forget and I'd do it again. You know why? Because I was a child.
Okay. Just making sure.
No, I don't think that's abnormal.
I mean, I'm not happy about this.
I don't know why you would be happy about that.
Here's the good thing about cushions is that when you flip them over, it's like they're new.
Ta-da!
So I think I've already got, I haven't utilized the flip on this couch.
Why not? It seriously looks like an art installation. It's like Charles Manson, postmodern velvet.
It's horrible.
I don't know.
It's pretty gnarly, but yeah, the older boy knows now. We've taught him. Oh, the magic eraser. If mom's listening, if you don't have bought the magic eraser from Mr. Clean, now when a kid draws on the wall, that's the first thing we do. Oh, guess you're gonna get the magic eraser, and then they have to scrub the wall, and it comes right off.
Magic eraser is probably one of the best inventions of the 20th century.
I know. What is it?
I have no idea how that thing works, but it is amazing. You know, my cousin gave me a case of them for my shower gift.
That's brilliant.
Isn't it? She was just a whole case, and she went, trust me, you're going to need these. And I was like, what? I've never heard of this thing. Oh, my God, lifesaver.
Yeah, and I didn't hear about it until like a year ago. So that's like excellent. Moms listening, give a case of magic eraser to anybody having a child.
I went through that case like that when they were about 2 years old.
Can you Google image search it, Nadav, so people know? Because the name is misleading. It's not like an eraser stick.
No.
It's a sponge that
It's
has...
Mr. Clean.
It's Mr. Clean.
Yeah.
And it's got some crazy chemical. Dude, I don't even know what is on there that makes it work.
I don't know either, but man, it does. It
Oh my
takes
God.
everything but a Sharpie off.
You know
It
what I
doesn't
just
take off a
realized?
Sharpie.
My gay facialist looks just like Mr. Clean. Shout out to Tony. Face Place. West Hollywood. Oh my God, he looks just like him.
How funny.
That's really funny.
Yeah, that thing's the best.
It'll save your furniture. Well, not my furniture.
And
not
your
that one. And
walls.
my walls mostly.
Everything. Yeah. It's awesome.
What is in it that it works?
I don't know.
It's fucking crazy.
But no,
yeah.
that's totally normal. You know, I get really annoyed at that kind of stuff because I feel like living in LA, people forget that kids are just full of piss and vinegar.
They are. And no one tells you that either.
And they're supposed to be throwing things and kicking things and throwing sand at the beach. And yeah, they're supposed to be doing that. It doesn't mean that you don't parent it.
Yeah.
It just means it's not abnormal.
Okay. Because that's what I worry about is like, obviously I parent it. I'm like, don't throw the fucking sand. And then they'll do it again in an hour. I'm like, don't throw the fuck. It's like, oh God, am I doing this right? Is this what? Yeah. And then when we're in public, 2 and 5, 2 dudes. And we hang out in this little village by my house. And hey, guess what? Kids can only sit down and eat for so long. And then they're up. The young ones jumping over the bushes, tagging the trash can, running back. And then, the older one decides that's a fun game. Let's jump over the bush, hit the trash can, run back. And part of me gets like self-conscious, like, oh God, they're all judging me. People are like, this woman's child, the children are wild. She's not wrangling them. But it's like, at the same time, they're boys. And I'm like, fuck you. If you don't get this, you don't have 2 boys.
That's right.
You don't have 2 kids.
Yeah.
So you don't get it.
No.
But I have to fight that embarrassment, that internal embarrassment of like, oh God, is everybody, are they looking at me like this woman?
I think it would be hard to have boys in this climate.
Yeah.
Because, I had 2 girls, and I have one girl who is very girly and one girl who is very wild as young girls. Like Isla was just wild, she just was a wild kid. And I was never embarrassed by it. But I wonder how I would have felt or thought about it if it had been a boy. Because I would like to think I'd be like, well, yeah, that's what boys do. It's so weird because the way I grew up with boys were allowed to have no shirt on, to be filthy dirty, to be rough and tumble, to play with toy guns, to play, cowboys and Indians, to play, cops and robbers. And I feel like now a lot of those things are so politically incorrect.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, what piece of that is actually just natural boyness?
I know.
Like, they don't understand the political parts of being a cop and a robber. They don't understand that. They know there's a bad guy and a good guy, and I like being the good guy, and you like being the bad guy, and this is pretend.
I know.
How is that any different than two girls playing house?
I don't know.
It's something to do with their testosterone. And I personally think that homogenizing boys is a really bad idea, and saying boys have to be more like the middle is maybe not the healthiest thing for a boy, instead of just letting them find the middle.
Yeah.
And climbing the tree and falling out and breaking an arm. You know, not that you want your child to get hurt, but that you want your child to be adventurous and explore and not be afraid.
Yes.
And how does that connect to the simple things of like, I want to throw a water balloon at that girl's head because I think she's cute. You know how beat up I got by boys who thought I was cute?
Me too. I know.
I'm not saying that's right, but what is the equivalent that is right?
I know.
What is it?
But all of that too, now it's labeled, I guess, toxic masculinity.
Oh, come
of
on.
like, but that's what you did on the schoolyard, right? The boy who liked you would chase you,
Yeah.
tag you, throw shit at you,
Yeah.
and then you learn, and your mom would tell you like, oh, he likes you, that's why he's doing that,
Right.
and then you figure that like. But that whole thing is like the beginnings of courtship. Isn't that the beginning of the male-female relationship where you're like, oh, they like me? What does that mean? And how do we navigate? And
I think so. And I
Yeah.
think you can't tell me that the dad was chasing the mom in the house and hitting her with stuff.
No.
That kid didn't learn that at home.
Oh no, I don't
right?
think so.
I don't think the kid learned that at home. It's got to be some kind of innate biological piece that we are squashing.
Oh,
because
yeah.
if you think about it in adult terms, that's really unhealthy.
Yeah.
You know, it's really unhealthy if Bert throws a shoe at me to tell me that he likes me.
Yeah.
That's super unhealthy. But if a kid throws a shoe at a girl, and it's because he wants her attention and he doesn't know how to get it.
So then let him learn by trial and error.
Exactly.
And she
How does
goes,
he
what
get
the
it?
fuck are you doing throwing a shoe at me? And
Yes.
then he goes, wait, that's not how you get chicks?
Exactly.
Yeah, I got to go join a band. Or
Exactly.
become a doctor or a lawyer. Or
But now we
comedian. Yeah.
micromanage every
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
behavior for political correctness instead of just going, let's just watch this and see what happens.
I agree, man. I try to. One thing that really gets my asshole chafed is when I go to the playground. And back in the day, we've talked about it on this show. The playground was like a rusty, dangerous place
Oh, yeah.
for
It was
fucking
a death trap.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a kid zone. Yeah,
Yeah.
your parents took you there, but my mom would literally sit on a bench and read a book.
Yeah.
And I was off.
Yeah.
And she knew I was fine.
Yeah.
But the way I see parenting now, it's so overly done. The parent is playing with the child, and then you have to interact with them, and then you have to, come on, Kevin, put your foot down the thing, and then let's go. And it's like, give these kids some space.
Yeah, yeah.
Let the kids interact and learn and pull each other's hair and do
Yeah.
this and do that. You don't have to interfere.
No.
The playground, this is where you're going to learn most of life's lessons.
Yeah.
Why are we fucking this up for them?
Yeah. It's the
Free-
great leveler, right?
Yeah,
It
free
levels
play.
everybody.
Yeah. He learned, Ellis learns, oh, that's not how you share a toy? Great. This is how I'm going to share it. This is how I'm going to, and then we're fucking it all up.
Yeah, because your peers teach you more
Yeah.
than your parents.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you get to be a teenager. My kids aren't listening to me.
No.
They're listening to their peers.
It's so true.
And so if that starts on the playground, right, then I don't know. I agree with you. I think it should be a kid space where kids negotiate and figure out until the point where they can no longer.
And then you help.
And then you help. But you don't have to be on top of every single minute.
Yeah,
You know,
makes me crazy.
Isla was a climber. I've talked about this a million times. She was a climber. And I let her climb.
Yeah, you got to.
Now, I can't let her climb onto the mantle of the fireplace.
Right.
That's dangerous. But she could climb all over my couch.
Yeah.
And if she fell, guess what? She fell off the couch.
Yeah.
It's all right.
That's how I am too.
Yeah.
That's how I am too. But I don't know, I don't know what's norm. You're right. I think a lot of it is LA culture. I think
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like when I go to the park here and I see, the over regimenting and the over correcting, and it's like, I don't know, this feels fucking weird. Here's a toy gun. Go chase your brother in the woods. I feel like that's more natural
Yeah.
than
I do too.
than Skylar, come here, Skylar. You want a snack? How about a snack, Skylar? Like this fucking constant. Let Skylar be, bitch. Let her figure.
Totally.
And if she's hungry, she'll fucking come to you for it. They ask.
Yeah, totally.
You don't have to force every little minutia.
I used to just put food out.
Yeah.
And then I would just eat while playing. While playing. I was like, well, she got a full meal because I put 18 things out and they're all gone. So clearly she ate it.
She's fine.
Do I need her to, I don't know. This is a weird place, I think. In some ways, LA is amazing.
Yes.
And in some ways, LA is confounding.
Yes.
Where I go,
I see it now.
Can you not just see that this boy is just being a boy? And can you not just leave him alone for it? Why does he have to be all of a sudden a liberal Me Too person?
I know.
He's not a Me Too. He barely even knows what a penis is.
I know.
He doesn't know what to do with it.
No.
So,
My favorite, I was applying to kindergarten for Ellis, and they have the male, female, non-binary is now an option for kindergarten. I'm like, he can't even pronounce spaghetti. Are we going to get into fucking what gender he thinks he is at 5? Get the fuck out of here.
I respect everybody's need to be their own person. And I think that sometimes it's just too confusing. They're too young. It's too confusing. It's confusing. It's overthinking it for the parents.
But also at the same time, I don't know how little girls. I see the little girls in my neighborhood. And by little girls, I'm talking 12-year-olds who dress like horse walking around. I'm like, Jesus Christ, is anybody monitoring?
Yep, I know some of them.
Yeah, what is going on? And that is young, man. I see them in 11 or 12 walking around, and I'm like, I'm so sad for them that their childhood is over because now you're being ogled.
But, I have a friend who has a daughter who is like that. And she said it's so difficult because I set a boundary and it makes her feel bad about herself. That this generation is so fragile that if I say, hey, you need to wear a shirt that actually touches the waist of your pants because everybody else is wearing something that's just under the boobs, she's now set apart and it makes her super anxious and uncomfortable. She says it's a very difficult thing to parent. I don't see it that way.
Yeah,
I'm like, you're not leaving my house like that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
These are my rules. But if the reverse is true, then I don't know. I thought it was an interesting perspective that she was like, I am choosing to set my child apart from her peers.
Okay. So then I think the problem is this
the peers,
the fragility. No, the perception that children, it's what Dr. Drew calls anti-fragility. The idea that they're so fragile that she cannot handle the anxiety and the upset, the tantrum. Right. Essentially, it's a tantrum,
right?
It is
when
a
tantrum,
your toddler says, "May I have a cookie?" No, you can't have a cookie. Ah, okay.
Yeah.
It's a tantrum that this teenager is throwing. But my peers won't accept me is what, Yeah. Yeah. Okay. They're not going to accept you. So maybe your peers suck.
Yeah, maybe your peers suck.
Have you thought that these girls are not for you?
Right.
And if they're going to X you out over a T-shirt, they're not fucking cool. Like they suck. Like that would be my thinking.
Yeah, that'd be my thinking too.
Yeah, so go do your own thing. Guess what?
Yeah.
People aren't going to accept you your whole fucking life. It's a great lesson to learn.
Yes.
You
got to find your peeps.
Yeah, this anti-fragility stuff kills me. We're so worried about their little feelings about stuff.
Yes.
It's like, you're going to have to deal with all this in life times 10, times 100.
Yes. I read a great book, The Coddling of the American Mind.
Yes, I like
great
it
book.
too. Mm-hmm. Very good. That's
great
what
book.
they talk about anti-fragility.
They do.
There.
They talk about a lot in that book. It was a good book.
Yeah, and I hate safe spaces too. I want to piss all over your fucking safe space, you little bitch. Yeah.
You know, one thing I like about my daughter's high school, which was your high school,
yes,
is that they read a book called Speak, and a young lady is raped in this book.
We read that. Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
And they sent a letter home to the parents saying, listen, we're talking about this. We want you to know we're talking about this. This is why we're talking about this, but we're talking about it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, right on. Right on. I mean, I'm glad they let us know so my kid's not come home and going, we're reading a book about rape, because it's not about rape.
It was a really popular young adult novel. Will you bring it up? Speak. If you have a young teenage girl, I read it as a 28-year-old. I just loved this book.
Isla really liked it too, and was really, I think it was very good for them. Georgia read it also. I think it made them see a different world than the very coddled world they live in. But I was glad they did that.
Yeah.
And there was another book they read. They did the same thing where they said, we are talking about XYZ and we're talking about it. So I just want you to know. And I thought that was great.
Louise Halls Anderson wrote Speak. Great book. Go Ask Gals. That's an old school. That's from the 60s. Did you read that shit? That was fun.
I did,
No.
yeah.
Oh,
Go
you
Ask
read that
Gals?
one?
Yeah.
This was from the 60s. This is where like you learned about taking acid. It's an encounter of a girl who goes insane basically, and she takes acid, and it's really cool. I read that one too. It was a good one.
No, I did not read that one.
I agree. There's such a weird thing and what I found too in this dealing with my children and Tom's accident is that children can handle the truth.
Yeah, they can.
But
what they cannot handle is not the truth.
Secrets.
Secrets,
Secret
yes.
keeping and bullshit.
That's right.
Because the kid will convince themselves, right, that it's like they're doing, that this
That's
is
right.
bad, this is wrong, something happened, daddy's not here, it's my fault.
Right.
So, like, yeah, I don't know why people don't just talk to their you know, you can
Yeah.
just explain shit to them in,
Yeah.
in ways that they understand.
Age appropriate.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, because my mom did a lot of overshares. Like, I remember she had her tubes tied when I was 5, right Ellis's age. And she told me in great detail, I am having my tubes tied. This means I cannot have any more children. They are going to cut open my body here and tie my tubes. And I was like, what the fuck? They're killing my mom. And I went to kindergarten that day and I was like, my mom's having her tubes tied. And I announced.
Someone help me.
Yeah. And so when she came to get me, you know, how many days later, the whole staff knew. And they were like, how are your tubes? How was the tubes?
Oh my God.
But like now thinking back as an adult, I'm like, she didn't need to tell me that.
No.
That could have been like, hey, you're going to stay with your dad this weekend. I'll see you on Monday. And
Yeah.
like, because I don't think you're laid out for a week.
No,
with the tubal
I don't think
ligation.
so. That and
Why are you telling me that?
that was because that was for a totally different fucked up reason. She needed you to be worried about her or something,
Right.
and that's stupid. That's not necessary.
No. That one I
yeah.
could have just not known. She could have
No.
just sent me to my dad's and I could have been fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you would have never known. You would have been
No.
none the wiser.
None the yeah.
And why should you be wise to any reproductive functions of a parent at age 5? You shouldn't. You don't even know what that is.
No, I know. It was such a bizarro. Gosh, just looking back, they really shielded nothing from me.
They shielded nothing. I was going to ask
Nothing.
you, though, did they keep things from you they shouldn't have and then told you things that you didn't need to know?
All of the above, yes. Just,
Yeah.
I think too much. I knew everything.
Yeah,
shouldn't
I
have
knew
known.
everything, too. I knew it was all pretty transparent. And there is stuff that you shouldn't have the responsibility of knowing
Right.
at a certain age. And then as you get older, you know, like with my mom, you know, it is my belief that my mother has some mental issues, right? So when my kids were younger, we just said, you know what? She's got like a boo-boo on her brain.
Yeah.
And so we don't see her. And then as they got older, and they could wrap their head around that. Oh, she has a boo-boo. Okay. So she's hurt. Okay. And then as they got older, we were like, you know, she has some like mental health problems. And then they could wrap their head around that. And then as they got older, I've been able, now that they're almost adults, I'm able to say, here's what's really going on. And this is why we don't have a relationship with her. And they understand it. But they've never questioned it ever.
Yeah.
Because really, at the end of the day, it is a boo-boo on the brain.
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
lie to them. I just gave them information that they could process at their age.
Yeah.
And as they got older, I explain it more so they understand really the bigger picture
Yeah.
of why she's not around.
Yeah, so but not saying anything or not if they ask you something and you just skirt the issue entirely is not the right way to deal with it.
No, I
'Cause
don't
then-
think that's the right way
I
to
don't
deal with
think so.
anything.
Yeah, no.
Even if you say, I don't know the answer to that question, because I know some kids will ask questions that you really don't know.
Yeah.
So instead of bullshitting them and saying, well, you know, this is what Bert does. Is Santa Claus real? You know, Santa is Jesus's brother. And he made up this whole story, and I was listening to him going, they are going to hate you and not trust you. You were telling him that Santa Claus is Jesus's brother. That's so not true. And that he made up this elaborate story about how the Jews murdered Jesus and Santa Claus' vendetta was to give all Christian kids presents because the Jews murdered. And I was going, Oh my God, this is such a massive lie.
But it makes sense. Like when you think about it that way, that's kind of why we do presents. Yeah.
But he parented when they were younger. He would just make shit up, and I'd be like, they are not going to trust you.
I know.
At a certain age, they're going to go, wait a minute, the Jews didn't murder Jesus, and that's not his brother. And we don't. Wait, the Jews get presents too, just on 8 days, and we get one. I don't understand.
I know. I feel bad because I told Ellis that I have the ability to shoot lasers out of my eyes. And fight the bad guys, because he was really worried about bad guys because he watched Home Alone and he was like, the bad guys. And I was like, no way, dude, I'm strong as shit and I got lasers that come out of my eyes, but they don't come when you're awake. You have to go to sleep and then the lasers can fight the bad guys.
Oh, really, Bert Kreischer? Is your name Bert Kreischer, Christina Paczynski? You may be the same person. You once again have proven that you are the same person.
Oh,
See,
gosh.
my dead inside brain would go, there's no bad guys, just go to sleep. Which is
that's
not helpful
probably
either.
the normal response.
Exactly. There's no bad guys. Let me tell you, this is the way I parent that. We have 2 dogs that are enormous that would bark immediately if a bad guy came in the house.
Okay, that's true.
We have an alarm on every window and door in this house that we set every single night.
Okay.
If someone came in the house, the alarm would go off and it calls the police.
Oh.
So there you go.
You mean you don't tell them you have lasers? Like,
No. My lasers come out of my asshole. So I just shit lasers at them, Georgia and Isla.
Well, on that note, I'm having your husband on the next episode, so
Good
he
luck.
and I will discuss the lies that we've told our children.
Parenting skills 101 with Push and Bert.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you again so much for being here. You're an absolute delight, LeeAnn Kreischer. Listen to her on Wife of the Party and look for her future memoir coming out.
Aw, well, thank you for having me over and over again. I love spending
you.
time with you.
I do too.
I feel
I
like
love
in
you.
our crazy parenting world, this is the only time we can spend time together.
know.
So thank you for
Of
having
course,
me.
come over anytime. I love you. All right.
Love you too.
Until next time, stay cool, moms.
Where my mom's at. Where my mom's wearing thongs, hitting bongs at. Raising kids, cleaning shits, need a long nap. Where my mom's at.